Oh, nah. What's his name? Oh, nah. It's Hayden Hurst. Oh, nah. What's his name? It's T. Higgins. That's his name, yeah. Higgins put his nameplate in his face. 3-0 versus Kermit passing with a chase. Coachy Daddy Yo, Bridget Weavy on the case. Number 1 Bengals podcast, that's our name. Oh, nah. What's his name? Oh, nah. It's Hayden Hurst. Oh, nah. What's his name? It's T. Higgins. That's his name.
Yeah. Yes.
His name.
Yes.
His name.
Yes.
Is John the Brain Sheeran. If you want to buy his album, yeah. Beautiful, John. Thank you.
A lot of EPs.
A lot of EPs. And I like the fact, John, that you focused on T. Higgins, because I'm sure the viewers remember my prediction from our last show where I said the Bengals intimidate the Chiefs, they would be dominant this game, and I said T. Higgins would be the player of the game. I'm sure everybody remembers that.
Came up with the biggest play, did he not?
He did, yeah.
And I called it. And this is like the third or fourth time, but Daddy never remembers. I have to always remind everyone. I've called so many games now.
I also said Travis Kelce would not be a factor against us. I'm not intimidated by him. He was a non-factor in the playoffs in that second half. And Uanurumo knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this was, guys, we are, by the way, this is number 1 Bengals podcast. You can follow us on all the podcasting places. But we're talking about the Bengals win over the Chiefs 27-24 in convincing fashion. Could have been
really looking like that dominant team that we saw. Yeah. I mean, I hate to keep tooting my own horn, but as I was saying, this is the beginning of the beginning for the Cincinnati Bengals. They really started to look like that dominant team that we saw last year.
Yeah.
They didn't look like that early in the year. This year we had our doubts. A lot of people had their doubts. But you shouldn't doubt.
They weren't dominant last year so much as just a very cohesive clutch.
But toward the end, they really started to look like a powerhouse of a team. And that's what they look like now.
Yeah. I mean, they were what you want for a playoff team. They weren't blowing people out, but they were getting it.
They were winning
too. Yeah.
John, they were clutch.
But were they dominating? Were they dominant last night? Like they were dominant out of the gate.
Yeah.
That I'm sorry. When I saw that game last night, to me, it looked like the Bengals could have easily won by 21 more points than they did win.
Well, easily, but that they didn't because they left 10, 11 points on the board. Like they
messed up.
Perfect game.
They messed up.
No, because that's what happens when you play good teams. Sometimes you just trade major haymakers, right? And you take a couple steps back. But the good teams end up actually coming out on top.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But, I mean, some uncharacteristic things like the Tyler Boyd. Well, by the way, John,
Wait, the Tyler Boyd what? Finish the sentence.
Well, so what happens is Joe Burrow, I think maybe he rolls right or something. He throws this beautiful lob pass, kind of this little rainbow on this beautiful design to Tyler Boyd. He's wide open in the end zone. And a lot of people saying he dropped the ball, but I'm not sure because it hit him in the helmet.
Shoulder pad dropped it,
No, the helmet. It hit his helmet, I think.
It hit him right here.
Blame the equipment.
Yeah, but John, what I'm saying is,
need more sticking.
And obviously it wasn't Joe Burrow's fault. Obviously he's perfect, but I think that ball, I don't know who snuck it in there, but it was pointier than other footballs. If you notice, like it was very pointy. If you look at the replay, I haven't seen a lot of footballs that look like that, and that's why Tyler Boyd. You
couldn't catch that ball. The ball was a cursed ball. It was a cursed ball.
He didn't want to puncture.
Why didn't it just puncture his jersey? It would have stuck to him, and then he wouldn't have dropped it.
But by the way, since we're just riffing, those orange jerseys with the orange hats, those are my favorite Bengals uniforms. The orange and orange. Yeah. I love it. I'm not the uniform kind of guy. I think all the uniform stuff is dumb. But I love those orange uniforms. Orange on orange.
We need to expand upon the imperfections of this game, not in a bad way.
Go for it, John. John, go for it.
The fact that they won with all this happening, in the middle game, there was the Chiefs had, I think, a 60% chance of winning the game according to some win probability metric. But this was after.
At what point you say at halftime?
This was the third quarter. After the Chiefs came back, they scored 14 unanswered. They were up 7 entering the fourth quarter, right? And the Bengals had made multiple mistakes here. They they dropped an interception with Cam Taylor-Britt. They gave up multiple contested catches down the field to the Chiefs. They had the 4th and goal disaster with Trent Taylor. Carlos Dunlap made a phenomenal play. And then Tyler Boyd, who never drops anything, dropped a touchdown. All those plays happening in the same game against that team, that 99% of the time leads into loss. I don't care what the win probability metric said at that point. The Chiefs should have won the game at that point, and the fact that they didn't says so much about the Bengals. It was what Joe Burrow said after the game to Tracy Wolfson. Like, it's crazy how we won the game, leaving so many points on the board, because they did. They left 10 clear points on the board against the Kansas City Chiefs and still won. It's nothing more than a testament to how this team is resilient.
And John, would you agree that the turning point back toward the Bengals was also a flub on the side of the Chiefs, which was when the Chiefs did the fumble. And when they did the fumbleitis, that's when things started to look really different. And really the Chiefs kind of lost hope after that point. So it's both teams are under pressure. Both teams are messing up. Both teams are a little bit intimidated by each other. But I got to say, the Bengals are really the dominant team and more intimidating team in this scenario. Yes, Daddy, go ahead.
Hold on. No, we were not messing. We had a couple of plays that didn't work out. We had a couple of dropped interceptions, a couple of things like that. But Joe Burrow was in command the entire game. He was precise.
Sure.
Mahomes had a couple of splash plays.
Yeah.
But he looked confused by Anarumo.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I was telling John before the show, they didn't have any receiver really go off. And including Kelsey. They didn't really have any, Mahomes did not have he wasn't comfortable back there. And John, I think they only had, 8 people back, 5 times this game, unlike they did the second half. So they did it in a whole other way. They were still getting in Mahomes' head, yeah.
I'm with you on giving all the credit to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the heart of this team. He's the soul of this team. But there's some other people you got to credit. Of course, Zach Taylor. He never gets the credit. Don't know why. I don't know why Zach Taylor is like this ghost where you cannot acknowledge how awesome he is. I mean, look, I agree Lou Anarumo is the best. But who brought us Lou Anarumo? Zach Taylor. And I agree that I agree that Pollock has brought this offensive line really up from the shambles. I mean, the offensive line performed so well that Pirine had good runs and Joe Burrow had the time. But
Pirine's amazing. Yeah.
Pirine's good. But the line, give the line credit.
Line has been
Zach is the one who puts all these little pieces over and over. And honestly, I'm sick. Hold on, I am sick and tired of people talking about coaches as if we're playing old-timey 1980s football. Hold on. Where the coach comes out with a chalkboard and has a bunch of plays. That's not the coach's job anymore. The coach is much more like a CEO. He runs the team. He builds the culture, and he has a lot of other people doing some other jobs. But this is Zach's team, and this team was amazing in every way. It wasn't just Burrow. It was the whole team. It was Pirine. It was the receivers. It was and especially the defense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say this. Yes, Anarumo was a great hire. We didn't see it at the time.
I did.
But he was like the 4th or 5th choice, I think.
I saw it like after the 3rd game. I was calling him. I was on the bandwagon.
And Pollock was here before Zach, and Zach's guy didn't work out. And so
Zach was humble enough to bring him back.
The organization probably pushed them on them. But look, here is the thing. Zach has done a great job. I would say, John, in recent weeks, the play calling has been good. I mean, the EPA for the rushes and the stuff doesn't matter who's there.
Well, I have one complaint about the play calling. I'd like to hear John's perspective on it. So you might remember when we had Parker Angelface Blake on this show. I had asked them, why is it that when the Bengals are on the goal line, they do these silly tosses instead of just bringing it up to the middle? And he was befuddled. And once again in this play, we had a surefire touchdown. Right there, they were like a yard away from the end zone, and they did a toss. Of course, there was a fake QB sneak that looked like a toss. Had they run it up the middle, I predict that would have been one more touchdown on the side of the Bengals. I think that was a case of, again, this crazy play calling when it comes to short runs. John.
So I don't know what the original play call was because Burrow checked it at the line, and he checked it because running up the middle requires space to be had up the middle, right? And the Chiefs had 4 defensive linemen basically next to the center on that play, including Carlos Dunlap. So Burrow saw this. He saw that the middle was going to be congested at the snap, made the call, touched his head, and then motioned, I think, Pirine closer to him to basically give the tell that, hey, if the running back is this close to the quarterback, it's going to be a QB sneak. And at the very last second, he motioned Trent Taylor with the jet sweep behind him. And once all this happens in pre-snap. The defensive line's keying in on just anything up the middle, either a sneak or a quick handoff to Piran up the A-gap. But it didn't happen. He handed off to Taylor, who was having full momentum behind him to the outside, and instead of crashing down towards the A-gap, towards the very middle of the play, Carlos Dunlap just streaks right up field, straight up field, and meets Trent Taylor. It was a phenomenal play by Carlos Dunlap, and sometimes you have to credit the defense for just making a good play.
Okay. Well, then that's different. That sounds like it was really Joe Burrow's bad then.
Yeah, no. I would say this, John. Trent Taylor weighs about as much as me. I believe his listed weight is 135 pounds.
Not that skinny.
No.
And
he's
John,
also not 4'2".
John, hold on. John, what I'm saying is, do you want a man who weighs as much as...
We all want plays that work, man. We all want plays
Yeah,
that
we don't care how much the guy
no.
weighs.
No, the play was good, but why not give it to a bigger guy?
I don't think they had that kind of time. What John just described,
size,
it was a...
Size is not the variable in that equation. If the play worked, then Taylor would have been uncontested into the end zone. Dunlap just happened to be there where the Bengals didn't expect him to be.
Yeah.
But Taylor...
Blame it on the Dunlap.
He's so small that
He's so small, he's so wiggly, he just knifes his way through the open space for a touchdown. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but John, like if you take an ant, okay, if you take an ant and you ask it to get out of the forest, right?
These are the kinds of things that going through his mind when he's watching games, John. He's thinking of ants in forests.
Hold on. It will take the ant a very long time to crawl all the way out of the forest. It is an ant. It is a small. If you take a horse...
Or an elephant, let's say.
An elephant. And you say, get out of this forest, it will be out a lot faster. What I'm saying is, John, by the time Trent Taylor could navigate all those bigger tree trunks and get out of there, it would be too late.
If only they had your wit on the team as a designing plays with the ants and the elephants and the trees, man, they would just do so well.
John,
Carlos
what is your
Dunlap
take?
tackling a horse would have been interesting to see because that's probably what would have happened on the play. Because Dunlap
I think
was
he
there.
could.
I don't know why we're just like it was a failed play from the start.
It was a fair play, but I still think had they gone conventional,
Yeah.
had they run it down, I think they would have made it in. But that's just me. Because what I was really trying to say is that don't underestimate this offensive line now. Like I was watching that fourth quarter play, and there was one play, someone tweeted about it as well, where Joe Burrow stops for just a second. I thought, oh my gosh, he's just standing there and no one is touching him. And then he threw a beautiful completion. I don't know if you remember that one, John. It was like one of the last plays of the game. And it was a beautiful, just kind of like he steps back and there's just a moment of, it's like the wind is blowing his hair and he's just standing there and no one can reach him. And I was like, that's what I've been wanting to see for years.
You know what he did, Hoji? He held the linebacker just ever so slightly, just barely enough to open a window that didn't exist. Because you had, I think, Hayden Hurst having a little hitch route over the middle of the field, and he had T. Higgins behind him on that slant. And as you saw, Burrow kind of stood in the pocket for a half second long. And that's what Zach Taylor said. Like, the ball, where it ended up being, was a little bit behind where they ended up practicing that play because the ball ends up getting out a little bit quicker. But he held it for just a split second longer to open up that window behind it. Hayden Hurst for T. Higgins to make that completion. But still, that it wasn't expected to be completed by any metric of anything that we use here, and it was still completed. It was insane.
Awesome.
John, can I talk about something? I want to talk about Joe Burrow's, let's say, awareness of the field and the fact that you had a tweet showing his third down conversions, how each one was harder than the last, and these guys, Samaje Perine, and then Jamar Chase, were fighting for those extra inches to get those third down conversions late in the fourth quarter. And John, Samaje Perine, I saw Joe Burrow get back there, and he's looking at his receivers like, oh, there's nothing there. And unlike I don't want to name names, but let's say a number 15 on the Kansas City. that was a very bad slip there. But the Kansas City Chiefs, unlike that guy, Joe Burrow doesn't go, oh, I need to pass the ball downfield. He's like, hey, maybe I can pick up 7 yards by dumping it to Samaje Perine. And he very casually, just like, did you see, John? I mean, he was very casual.
I think he actually did that twice. I think he did that twice.
Yeah. And then, John, what else was it? Mitchell Wilcox, and then, of the touchdown to Chris Evans. And I feel like, John, I can't remember a quarterback just getting everybody involved at the most timely points of the game.
man's a genius.
Like
the man
He's
is
a genius. He's
Yeah,
a genius.
He has a he has.
You know what? You know what? Actually, because I know Daddy knows what I'm talking about because he liked this tweet when I tweeted it out. There was a play action pass that Burrow threw, and it was perfectly in timing, perfectly in rhythm. He released the ball at the top of his drop back, and you had deep crosser from the slot, and ended up being Tyler Boyd. Now, New England ran that play a ton when they had Rob Gronkowski in that alignment, and they had Tom Brady at quarterback. I recognize that play. They ran it like 2,000 times, and it's how Tom Brady and Robert Gronkowski got like 50% of their production with each other. That was the most Tom Brady-esque throw and play call I've ever seen from Burrow, and this game might be the most Tom Brady-like game I've ever seen from Burrow. The guy gets compared to Brady more than any other quarterback in existence ever since Brady took over, and I never really saw it until this game because, like you said, it was a lot of timely, quote-unquote, checkdowns, but some of those plays are designed to go short and designed for yards to catch and to get everyone involved at the same time and have these guys being schemed open. It was just a perfectly crafted performance from the quarterback position.
Absolutely. And John, and the thing is, like you said, checkdowns, but it's like basically, it's not just, I don't know how to say it. It's not a check down in the sense that, oh, let me see. You know how when quarterbacks are under pressure and then they, like, let me check it down to not get sacked. Let me check it down to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he sees the open field in front of Pirine and he knows what Pirine can do and he knows that Pirine's on the roll. He's like, let me go to this guy now.
Yeah, and that's how Brady got a lot of his production. That's why people crowned him for being such a great decision maker and facilitator.
Yeah.
But you know what Brady can't do is that he can't pull the ball back on a designed run to his running back and then scamper for 16 yards. I feel like that play, like when the Chiefs were down to the Bengals twice last year, right? When the Bengals when the Chiefs were up, and the Bengals came back and the Chiefs couldn't quite respond. Those were the plays that the Chiefs were missing. The fact that I feel like it was after that play, the Bengals were down by 7 or however many points, and Burrow just improv'd, ad-libbed on the spot and just turned out for 16 yards. They ended up scoring on that drive. I feel like that sparked all of those key plays that we saw later. They converted their next 4 third downs. They saw their quarterback basically give up his body for that first down conversion. And then you saw third down after third down after third down, guys just fighting for the sticks and then eventually getting into the end zone. Chris Evans, out of all people, right? It's crazy.
And we love to talk about the offense, but let's not forget what we saw, which is basically a miracle. Lou Anarumo stopped the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes with, and let's just be honest, a team that doesn't have great cornerbacks. They don't.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Lou Anarumo is the only one who has the recipe. They're going to steal this man from us. They're going to take Lou and they're going to make us cry. But until they do, let us laugh. Let us laugh the laugh of wins.
Yes.
Speaking of laughing, let me just say something. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not sure if I'm ever going to end this show. We have people one-upping each other in the holiday spirit. We have Matthew Grundy. It was $5 for Christmas beard
So generous.
oil.
I
guess
some.
Hoji's beard looks a little flaky.
Of course.
It looks a little crackly.
Hair's dry.
Yeah.
Hair is dry.
I have eczema.
Yes. And Andrew Seiler, obviously Dr. Andrew Seiler, good
Yes.
friend of the show, got married on the show.
Saved a
He has
penny
given
too.
us
He didn't make it
$10.
10. He came to $9.99. I like it, Andrew. Very generous but thrifty. Love it.
Yes. And he didn't have to say anything because that game.
Because he said so
yeah.
much. He's basically a fixture on this team.
Yeah. And I assume the rest of the super chats will be in the
Daddy,
figure.
these acts of generosity are making me emotional. This win against the Kansas City Chiefs made me emotional. And John, I don't know if you and Daddy will remember, but I was emotional after last year's loss at the Super Bowl, and I was actually brought onto a show, a famous show, to talk about some of the habits, the disorders that I have picked up in dealing with the loss from last year. I hope we don't have to go through that again, but I was hoping I could share just a minute of what I went through with our fans out there psychologically, because this win means that much to me, and the Bengals mean that much to me. Daddy, could you roll my clip?
February 13th, a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, in fact. All the Bengals needed was a field goal. They would have gone into overtime, everything would have been okay. Dr. Field, our dreams would have come true. After that loss, yes, I hired a team of witches to do astral chants before every game. Look, I know it doesn't do anything, but the chants, they make me feel like I'm in control.
We do understand that there is a neurological component to this. There are some things going on in the brain that are very different from someone's brain that's not experiencing this. And if that's not addressed, if that's not corrected, the best possible therapies, the things that would otherwise be effective, just won't be.
I do.
How is this going so far since you came out here and you and I sat down and talked?
Well, it helps, but I know that there are rough days ahead. It's such a competitive league.
You probably went through something similar, John. All the pain last year, the ups, the downs. We're in for it
Yeah,
again.
but I didn't have a former Tulsa linebacker to help me out, so
Oh, is Dr. Phil a former? I didn't
you
know
would
that.
never guess it, right?
No. I mean, he's a big man. But, yeah.
Yeah, John.
Well, I
let
don't know
me
if we'll
ask
make
you
it to the Super
something.
Bowl, but I hope we do.
Speaking of big men, and speaking of, let's say, we were talking about Chidobe Awuzie being not available. We don't have any top corners, John. Eli Apple is hit or miss. I love Eli Apple, but he is hit or miss. You can't count on him taking out a top tier receiver, whenever, consistently. John, I want to ask you something, because they all said, look, DJ Reader, we lost DJ Reader, knee injury, right? And then the same thing with Chidobe Awuzie, but DJ Reader is back. And I want to know,
And he made
John,
a big difference.
made a big difference, and he seems to be perfectly fine. So I want to know, John, what is the difference? Is it that when you have chunkier ligaments, thicker ligaments,
Oh, no. Don't do medical
and
stuff,
then
Daddy.
hold on,
You do it so horribly.
I just want to understand. Is it Chidobe? He's a very slender, very fit, very, let's say, he's chiseled, right? But his ligaments are probably not as, let's say, robust as a DJ Reader.
Can you
that a
repeat the
question?
question?
Yes, John, is that what's going on?
Are you asking if he's too, quote unquote, thick with two C's?
No, he's not thick enough. I'm saying Chidobe. Is that why we won't get him back?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to move on to the Browns game, because this
a
is
big
going to be
game.
a fun one. Yeah,
It's a
because
big
look, the Bengals, they
We
did
need the
what
win.
no one else has done. They knocked out the Chiefs 3 straight times. And now, they beat all the best teams. They went to the AFC Championship, but they can't beat the worst franchise in history.
The Browns have our number.
Yeah. So, John, we saw Deshaun Watson last game. He didn't look great. His first game
But
back.
he didn't look bad. And remember, he's been out all season, and he's one of the elite talents in the NFL. You might not like him morally, but do not underestimate that quarterback.
But
he is truly as good as the Browns wanted him to be. You can't dismiss him just because athletics
But the
and
thing
morality
is-
are not related.
Okay, but
I'm
the
not
thing
saying he
is-
should play. I'm not defending what the NFL did. But I am saying that guy can play.
Well, we know
even-
he can play, but will he get to that point this year? That's the question.
He
Yes.
certainly didn't yesterday.
He certainly didn't
he was
yesterday.
terrible.
Yeah. Tell us more, John.
But he's a Browns quarterback, so he'll probably shred the Bengals. I don't know. Like if the Bengals have the Chiefs number, the Browns have the Bengals number. Like until things change, they just remain the same. So why should we expect anything different? Even if Deshaun Watson looks terrible after he.
I just wish I understood, John, why they have our number. What is it about the Browns? Is it that
They force a lot of turnovers, man. That's what they did last year in the one game
Yeah.
that counted. That's what they did earlier this
Well-
year. They stopped the first drive of the game with an interception. Myles Garrett gets to the backfield really quickly, especially
Yeah.
against Jonah Williams. He just has his number, and then they force turnovers. They change the flow of the game and allows their run game to work. If they don't do that, then games probably go a lot different.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
John,
Dadio was saying that possibly there's a psychological component because the Browns are Joe Burrow's favorite childhood team.
That's not true,
Dadio,
it is.
is it?
John.
He was
I
a
thought
big
it was
Saints
the
fan.
Steelers. Oh, okay.
He's a huge Saints fan. He loved Drew Brees and Reggie Bush.
Interesting.
Well, it is.
Interesting, John.
I think the Browns have the most fans in the area where Burrow grew up. I don't think he was a Browns fan necessarily.
Well, Deshaun Watson ain't no saint. So hopefully, with this unsaintly man at the helm, Joe Burrow will do better because they're the opposite of the Saints. You see,
John,
demonic energy, John. It's a classic thing.
John, Will Andrews had a question. He said, "How do we kick the Browns in the throats? How does that work? How do you
need
kick
to
someone?"
aim.
Okay.
No, you
So,
need a ladder. You need a ladder.
let
Or
me-
you need to do a handstand.
Right. Look, here's the thing. Joe Burrow's in the groove. This is at home. We know we need to win this game to have a chance
Yeah.
at,
Wild card.
let's say, the division.
Yes.
And a very, what would you say, John? 9% chance of winning the AFC.
That's about right. Yeah.
So, I mean, really, I think the Bengals are going to be prepared. I think, what can they do against Myles Garrett?
I mean,
can they chip him?
Chase is back. I think that's the big factor.
Chase is back, but look, we had him last year. I mean, we had, John,
Yeah,
what
but
can
then
they...
remember, it was like, have you ever seen Cinderella Man? In Cinderella Man, he practices with his left arm for a long time, even though he's right-handed. That was kind of like us with Chase being out. We were practicing with all the people that we don't normally have step up, and so T. Higgins became more powerful than usual, and Boyd became more powerful than usual. Now Chase is back. We got our right hand back, and boom. I think you're going to see a better offense than you've seen, actually, even before last year. I mean, this is going to be the best.
John, Andrew Seiler has a question that I had, which is, when is Hayden Hurst going to be back?
We don't know. He's not going to be back this week, so he might be back next week.
Really? For a calf injury?
Calf is a big muscle.
John?
Josh Tupou missed 5 games with the calf injury. We don't know how serious this is.
And Josh Tupou's calf is very big. That's a good point.
No. It's almost a cow.
Yeah. John, so let me ask you something. Let me ask you something else, okay? What is your prediction for this game? How's it going to play out?
The Bengals are the better team. They're definitely feeling themselves. They've won 4 in a row. The Browns played very bad against an even worse Texans team, and they managed to still win because the Texans are terrible. The momentum is completely on the Bengals' side. The Browns should have no faith in Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. The Bengals desperately need a win over the Browns to even the scales in this rivalry, which is why I think the Browns win 23-13.
Wow.
Until it doesn't
That
happen,
is-
I need to see it.
He's got to see to believe it. Show me the money,
Okay,
John says.
okay,
John Sheeran says,
okay.
show me the money.
Okay, Hoji.
Oh, gee. So I liked the title, Daddio, that you chose for this week, which is that the Bengals convictingly beat the Chiefs, like convicts. They were rough. They were tough. And I think they're going to convictingly tie with the Browns, go into overtime, and win by a field goal. I think the player of the game is going to be Evan McPherson. Yes, I think it's going to be that long field goal that I keep thinking is going to come. I think it's going to come this week. I think the Bengals are not evenly matched. They are the better team, but they are outweighed by a kind of cosmic energy that the Browns
Right.
propel, because they were twins separated at birth. They were the Romulus and the Ramulus, and so they have the negative energy. They are the yin to our yang, so to speak. So again, I think it's going to be a tie. We are evenly balanced until the very end, overtime, when boink, kick, and it's good. Goes right through the uprights. 3 points, Bengals cheer.
Does it boink or does it go right through?
The foot, when it hits the ball, makes a boinking noise.
I
but
got it. I got
goes through. It's a boink and
Got it. Classic boink and fish. Okay.
yep, classic move.
So here's the thing. I look at this game and I look at what the Bengals have to deal with in terms of Myles Garrett and all of that. And Jonah Williams has had a good few weeks, but let's be honest. I mean, just physically, John, when you look at how long his arms are compared to Myles Garrett, it is probably half.
Yeah, half
Right?
He's
And
half.
so, I mean, it's just, yeah. And then I look at the fact that Deshaun Watson is going to have one game under his belt. He's going to have a little bit more of a flow. He's going to have, he's going to be angry, I think, after his performance, because he got $250 million guaranteed. The Browns believed in him. Look, the Browns could have drafted him, but they waited like 5 years and then gave up like 5 draft picks and all this money. And, after all these character things come up, so they will look really bad. And he feels that pressure. So, he could try to take it out on us. And that is why, John, I'm predicting a shocking upset for the Cleveland Browns. I think it's going to, yes. The Bengals have beat some very good teams these past few weeks. They have looked great, but I think it is going to be a shocking upset for the Cleveland Browns. The final score being 37-10 Cincinnati.
Now the Bengals are the superior team, so I think you've either misunderstood the word upset or there is some turn, shall we say, denouement in what you're about to tell us about the word upset, because it doesn't make sense as is.
Okay, fine. So you see, when the Bengals beat the Browns so badly behind Joe Burrow's redemption game, the Browns will be shocking. They will be visibly upset. They will be shaking. They will be so upset. They will be shockingly upset by what has hit them, which is the fact that the Bengals are no longer intimidated by them. Yes.
I see. So like any team that would lose, the Browns will be upset.
Right, but shockingly.
Shockingly. Because they will lose convictingly, like they've lost to convicts.
Right.
Yeah. I'm upset about how unkept your mustache is, but I'm not shocked by it.
Well, we have the beard look now. So we're both, Dad, you and I are both going to be doing a lot of waxing between now and next week. It's going to be an oily time, but not so oily that Deshaun Watson gets any strange ideas.
Yeah. Well, really, John, the only other thing I can think of is, what do you think of, what are the analytics saying about our Patreon account and the fact that it isn't really growing, but there are so many people in here. Yeah. So really, we have so many people out there who are looking to give away their money. Well,
Hell, tomorrow's St. Nick Day. It's a day for 2,000 years dedicated to giving to the less fortunate, and I can't think of anything more less fortunate than our Patreon.
Than us.
Is there anyone Is there anyone less fortunate than a person who has to be on a show with Dadio Maktouk? I say nay.
Yeah, well, you can see the list of patrons there, and honestly, I can't think of a better investment than paying us and then seeing your name down there. I feel like that is about as good of a trade-off as you can get.
It don't get no better than that.
No.
Jeff Bezos has a yacht. Elon Musk goes to the moon. You get to be on a little orange piece of writing that goes under the screen of one of the highest rated shows about the Cincinnati Bengals, hosted by Middle Eastern.
Easily top 50. I think we're still top 50 for the YouTube shows about the Bengals.
Once you put the word Middle Eastern in, then we become
top 5.
Yeah.
All
Remember
right.
to smash the like button. Smash it hard. It don't hurt.
Yeah.
It can take it. Put a comment down there. I would like for you, all of you, to tell us one thing in the comments, which is this. Name the one person who deserves the most credit for the win against the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it Lou Anarumo? Is it Zach Taylor? Is it Joe Burrow? Is it T. Higgins? Put it in there.
Yeah, Matthew said we need stickers. We actually have stickers. If you become a member through YouTube, you can become a member of the show and you get stickers.
We stick
that is true. That is almost as great as seeing your name at the bottom of the screen. And with that, John, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, send John fan mail, send John his Christmas bonus. Someone's got to give it to him. It's not going to be me. Follow all of us on Twitter so you can stay up to date with Bengals news. And we'll see you next time. So long. Esfiti. Paz.